Hello and welcome. Today, I've got a bunch of the best streamers in all of Gwent. Numbers don't lie. We got Spyro, we got Bushy, we got Specimen, all here to talk about streaming. So not Gwent, but what makes a good streamer? All that fun jazz. That's what we're doing today. You guys ready?
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
So-
Shoot.
Awesome. And thanks again for agreeing to do this. This is excellent. So the first question that I put down is, what is the most important part of creating an engaging stream? And this is like a discussion, not like I'm grilling each of you. We're just all chatting about it. So what do you guys think is important in making an engaging stream, or the most important?
Emotes, mate. Like, honestly, like Twitch culture
Okay.
is like one thing that when I like first came into streaming, it's not like the most important because I think like there's a lot of personal qualities, but like something you can do if you're like a new streamer to like really improve like the engagement and community feel is just get some emotes. Like, mate, Bushy's chat is absolute animals. So yesterday when we were doing like the watch party, Bushy had like 3 times my viewers, and I was thinking like, why was it? Like, what is it? And I was like, mate, it's because his chat is just like popping off, mate. Right? And that's what that it's a watch party, right? That's kind of like what you're doing in that particular stream. Like it's definitely something that like Bush, like I think his emote game is very, very strong, mate.
Yes.
To be fair, I I partially agree with you on the chat thing, but also on yesterday specifically, we well, I feel like I'm kind of a little bit more well known for the watch parties because I would make YouTube videos and I organized the first one and I would always like self-advertise. So like from a branding point of view, I've got a little bit of an advantage there as well, right?
Well, I think
So I would say don't beat yourself up too much over not having the
mate, it's all good. I
monkey
like a bit
culture.
of competition, bro. I'm not used to it though. I was like, this is kind of peak, like, but it's good, right? Because I'm like, right, what can I do better? And I'm like, okay, the moat game is like very strong. I could definitely see like why. And of course, as you mentioned, there's other things to it as well. But like, yeah, like, it's a good thing, right? It's there's lots of things you can do, but certainly one that I think, especially with things like animated emotes coming to Twitch, right? As a thing that you can do. It's definitely like a good way of getting people engaged. Like Bush has got this chant thing as well, which is a new Twitch feature. Like it's in beta at the moment, but that seems like just another cool way where you would type /chant, and then everyone would have a button that they can like basically type the same message, and it's creates like a cool community feeling.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there. And if somebody's starting out with the emote game early on, like stuff like, what was it, Better TV, was it Franksy, and now there's 7TV, like a bunch of different ones that add additional emotes to Twitch just as add-ons that are well known. But I also think in addition to that and building out that culture, that Twitch stuff, what Bushy said I think is really rings true about, you created this watch party and you pushed it, you created content for it, you prepped it, you tracked down a list of just truly phenomenal people to stop by. But also I think, yes, the emotes help with building up that chanty culture and everybody's hyped for the esports games, but also there's a lot of legwork that goes into creating an event like a watch party or an alt cast for any event or tournament. Beer, got any thoughts? What comes to your mind? It can be on this or other stuff.
It's also a bit. It's what works for one person doesn't also necessarily work for another person as well. I mean, in my opinion, the one important thing is obviously to engage with chat, is to obviously read chat, just answer questions and whatnot. But I mean, that also depends. It scales differently. Like if you're a streamer with 10,000 average viewers, it's gonna be very hard to read every comment and actually talk to every single person. So obviously there's some amount of it depends on the streamer and the environment, but generally speaking, at least in the Gwent environment or these like smaller to medium-sized streaming environments, I would say just being able to discuss what you're doing, explain what you're doing well, and engage a chat and have some kind of discussion type of panel with your chat can be quite, I think, especially for players that are new, that don't actually know how everything works, that they have questions about the game, or they might not, they watch to learn. A lot of people actually do watch streamers to learn about things and whatnot. If you have a streamer that's explaining what they're doing and their thought process, answering questions in chat, I think that does help out a lot of new players, especially.
Yeah, I think also it's really important to know what do you want your Twitch culture to be, or Twitch chat and community to be like, and also applies to Discord, YouTube as well. Like, for example, I focus very heavily on off-meta and meme decks, so I really don't overlap with Spyro, your content. So if someone says, wow, I really don't want to watch meta today, then it's not eliminating both of us. Anyways, it's like creating the opportunity. But if someone says, I really just want really hardcore meta decks, I want to get really in deep on a game, they'll probably pick your stream over mine. But it's about picking where do you want to compete with and overlap, and where do you want to try to create a niche for yourself. Because if somebody's coming to your stream and you're like, I only want to see meme decks, like, well, Spyro stream's probably not going to be good for it. Bushy's can be good. It can be one or the other. My stream's going to be very good for it. Also, figuring out where you want to meet your community at, the content you want to offer is important.
Yeah, like I think that's like with me as well. When I mean, I've streamed Gwent for like 4.5 years, like mainly off, but like a long period of time. And when I first came through, it was like I just want to make my own decks. That kind of wants to be my thing. Don't really care about being competitive. But then like last year, I also was like, well, I'll try and build my own decks while also still being competitive, you know. So like as you say, just trying to find like something that makes you stand out, but also like you just got to do what you enjoy ultimately, right? Like for me, I like building decks and I also like trying to win. So it just sort of made sense for that to be like the path I went down.
I think going. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Okay, sure. To be fair, you can't really like crutch on these more community focused like growth methods before you actually have a community to begin with. So like
100%.
Spyro said, you know, you need to make an entertaining stream in the first place to get anybody watching to spam emotes in your chats, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Or pretty much anything that involves you to have some sort of viewership. You can't engage with the chat if you don't have a chat. So you need to figure out a way to inherently be like entertaining before anybody is there to help you be entertaining, right?
Yeah, and I think a ton of new streamers botch that, right? You go to a stream. I know I like to raid streams because I think it's really Gwent's a really niche community. We're all pretty darn supportive of each other. I've benefited from raids. I pass the wrong raids now. And you go to somebody's stream and they're not talking. They just have music in the background. They're playing the game, dead silent, occasionally saying the word most popular word. You're like, what are you doing? You have to be on because like here, you know, I'm gonna raid you, bring out my like 60, 70 people that want to be in the raid. You gotta be doing something. And I think a lot of you don't know when the opportunities are. When you turn on a stream, there's like 9 million streamers on Twitch. 9 million people, I think, per month click the start stream button. It's something absurd. But you don't know when that one viewer's coming. You don't know. You have to be on. You have to be engaged the whole way. And that doesn't change whether you're 0 viewers or 1,000 viewers or 10,000 viewers. You always, when you're on the stream, you got to be on point. You got to be interesting at all times.
Yeah, I think we're going back to what you said earlier about having like your niche. I think it's very important to be different from everyone else because I think a lot of what it is with streaming is when people see your face or your name or whatever, they automatically start like associating like certain images or whatever. So like if I think of Plain Talk Jong, I think of podcasts, I think of some meme decks. If I think of Bushy, I think of honestly I just think of monkeys.
I think of monkey.
But I mean, hey, it fills it's a niche. It's something, right? That like it works. I mean, if you think of like if I think of XQC, I also think of just like chat spam, just complete ape chat. It as long as you have something that differentiates you from everyone else. I think the worst thing a streamer can do is be like everyone else. Just be different. Do something. If I think of Shinmiri, I think of analytical, very like slow thoughts of play and whatnot. It's just having something that differentiates you from everyone else, I think, is very, very important. So you want to be something that's something that sets you apart from the others, because as you mentioned, there's so many people streaming Twitch. It's just you have to somehow set yourself apart from everyone else.
Yeah, and you
can become the best at a certain niche. You don't have to necessarily be different, but you could just be better than the next best person.
Sure, which is very difficult to do, to be fair.
Well, it's
depending on how good they are.
Yeah, well, you can also you can like hybrid, right? You can say I'm gonna do a bit of meta, bit of meme, and I just need to be collectively better than somebody who's just focused on one. Or again, there's also it's okay to look at somebody and say, wow, you know what? This person sucks. I bet in 6 months I could be better than them, and just take them out. And like that is, competition is good. It's healthy, and you should always be thinking about who you're going to take out. And in many ways, like, when I started Gwent streaming, I sat down, kind of started getting a bit of success, and I looked at everyone else and I said, I can find a place here. I can take out enough people and find enough good ways to create content that I can carve a niche, a spot for myself. Viewers don't change. There's only going to be like 2,000, 2,500 at a time. How do you divvy it up? And I'm confident enough that I could come in here and say, okay, I can scoop up enough of you that you'll hang here. Just give me time. I also think...
And
go for it.
this also gets into the whole like discoverability thing on Twitch, where
Mhm.
you essentially don't
Garbage.
have any new person click on your stream unless you're at the top of the directory. And you
Correct.
know, the most difficult part is getting close to the top of the directory. That way you actually have somebody new that might click on your stream.
100%. Twitch's discoverability is crap. If you are streaming any game that's larger than Gwent, you are dead in the water from the moment you turned on the camera. Because Twitch does not care about discoverability. They never will as an organization. All they care about is keeping streamer or people watching. And if the top streamers currently can do that, why would they ever bother creating discoverability? It's very different than an outside platform. So Gwent, you get away with it, you get to cheat because there's only like 20 streamers at a time. If somebody's in your language, right, filter to English, you have 10. If they get bored of the top 3, they're gonna find one of the 7. They'll see your stream, even if you have 1 viewer. But if you pick any game that's bigger than Gwent, you're just dead. So you have to think about other ways for discoverability, and the obvious answer is YouTube by far. Not close.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube has obviously got much more sophisticated algorithms than Twitch when it comes to discoverability, which is why, I mean, a lot of people do both YouTube and Twitch. I mean, my focus has always been on Twitch. I don't actually, I'm very, I'm actually quite lazy when it comes to YouTube. I say lazy. I'm so busy with Twitch that I'm just not even actually half time having time with YouTube. But I do try still have like content on YouTube every now and then, just, to get some content out of there when I can.
And you, like, to be honest, I genuinely don't understand how you grew your stream, Spyro. It confuses the fuck out of me. But you did, and you're in a position where you don't need the YouTube discoverability, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still like having content. Just I'm doing like something on YouTube. I feel like I feel kind of weird if I'm just not doing anything on YouTube. But
Spyro's like channels like the epitome of just consistency, right? Like just being consistent. Like mine's the opposite because I started streaming like a year and a half, a year before Spyro, but I would disappear for months on end, right? And then you're starting from scratch again. I basically started from scratch like last year, right? Whereas Spyro, like when he was playing Gwent, he was a Gwent player, he started streaming, and then obviously when Homecoming came out, a lot of the bigger streamers, like people like Merchant, Margwai, Swim, massive exodus, right? And then Spyro's there to pick up the pieces, just consistently streaming. He only has Christmas Day off, and he's always on at the same time every day. You might wake up one day and go, I wonder if Spyro's not going to be on today. Maybe I'll get that top. Nope, not happening, mate. Like just consistent every time.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's like very high level gameplay as well.
Yes.
But I feel like that came afterwards. I feel like it was the consistency first, and then obviously because you just play so much, then like you're always good. But you know what I mean? He's become better recently, I would say. Would you agree?
I think I was always at a relatively high level even in open beta. I didn't really compete in open beta. I was mostly just playing ladder, but I think I still had a decent understanding of the game then. The biggest reason why I even started streaming in the first place was because I was busy looking for work and I had a lot of downtime between. And yeah, when I first started, I was kind of, and I think it's actually very important for a lot of streamers is finding good time slots, because when I first started, I was always kind of like, okay, who's streaming today? All right, I'm gonna stream at that time or that time or that time, or switch my timers around a lot because I didn't want to compete for viewership with everyone. So obviously at a certain point, I kind of said, okay, I think it's stable enough where I can just stream at the time I want to every day, and then I kind of kept it. But in the beginning, at least, I was bouncing around little gaps between all the main streamers streaming.
I still do that as well. Like I just try and pick a time. Like sometimes it'll be in the evening, sometimes it'll be like today. I was like, I'm gonna try and get up early, So
Nice. Yeah, I think,
definitely like just being sensible in like a smaller game about like what is the best time to stream is and consistency, right? Streaming at the same time can be a benefit, but also
huge.
I often take a different approach, and I actually say Gwent's such a weird game where there's a lot of competition. It sometimes just makes sense to be flexible. I don't know if it is the best approach, but there's like 2 ways you can go about it, right? Like same time every day, or what is going to be the best time to stream.
I think there's pros and cons, but I think you can also same time every day and also flexibility. I mean, yeah, it kind of depends. I think it depends also a bit on your size, I guess, as well. But yeah,
I think my opinion on time slots, it kind of like, I feel like there's kind of 2 strategies you can employ. Consistency must exist. I think for anyone to be, unless you're truly an incredible, mind-blowing streamer that's so interesting and unique that a random stream is going to be worth it. An example of that might be like Devin Nash, who does business streams, and his content's so unique on Twitch, and he's so well known for it that like he can stream whenever. It's his part-time job, effectively. Not even a job; it just has a hobby. But I think for a lot of newer streamers, it's good to have a consistent time. You want to be able to say, oh, it's this time. I know my favorite streamer is on. I'm going to watch him for a bit. There's definitely some value in flexibility. It's something I don't take advantage of enough. Where, hey, if it turns out, hey, Spyro and Bushy both got sick on the same day, great. Now there's still the same number of viewers who probably want Gwent content. And
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm never getting sick. It's not happening, most likely.
All right. Or maybe Spyro ends the stream and Bushy caught up in life, and it's like, oh, maybe there's an opportunity to hop on an extra time, a surprise stream, scoop up an audience. I think there was a late night stream Crozer the other day after Gwent had crashed partway through. He was the only streamer there, and he had an extra 50% viewership. Just because he was the only one streaming a late night stream after Gwent had crashed and come back online. Nobody was streaming it because of the crash. He just scooped up everybody. I will say also time slots can go a long way. I know Not Rashid right now has without a doubt the best time slot out of anybody. He starts streaming in 1 a.m. He lives in Saudi Arabia. He starts at 1 a.m. in Saudi Arabia, and there is nobody streaming Gwent. And he'll pull 100, 200 viewers. Because there's no one there.
That's kind of like what Trina did as well, right?
Yes.
He also had a time slot where like no one streamed, and he kind of just kept that. I mean, that's pretty much the only like real the biggest streamer, or the only real English streamer on at that time slot. So that's kind of how Trina, I think, a lot of how he grew his channel was just having a time slot where he could have it all to himself, pretty much.
Yep. No.
Yeah. Well, I was starting from scratch last year, pretty much. Like I had like an existing channel, but again, haven't streamed a long time. And it was lockdown, right? That's when I built my PC, so it gave me a rare chance to like actually stream early before I'd be very limited to like the Shin Miri kind of slot, like in the evening where you'd have Pumpkin as well at that point. So then suddenly I was like, okay, cool, I can actually stream earlier. And I was waking up at like 6:30, 7 a.m. every morning, and I was like just starting my stream sort of between Trinet and Spyro, that sort of slot, right? That was definitely something. And now as I've like grown a bit, I feel like I can sort of get away with being a bit more. I'm just going to show up and people will still tune in. It might not actually be the best. So I'm just a bit lazy and I like sleeping in and that sort of thing. But...
You know what? You gotta make compromises. Because one thing I think people early on do is they say, I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna stream 60 hours a week and also prepare the streams, and then just burn out in like 2 weeks. Because streaming is surprisingly exhausting. So you have to say, you know what? This time slot might be best. This consistency might be best.
It is so incredibly exhausting. Every time I finish a stream, the first thing I want to do is just sleep. I'm just so tired afterwards.
I feel that. I know, like literally I shut off the stream and or sometimes tries to talk to me after I raid them. I'm like, yeah, no, I want to go microwave some food for dinner, sit down and veg out for an hour before I start editing YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And most of this time slot discussion all just relates back to the same discoverability problem, right?
Yep. 100%.
Like when you're a very small streamer and you aren't going to be anywhere close to the top of the directory, the most value you can get out of your scheduling is going to be very consistent. That way, anybody who does know who you are knows when you're on and will maximize their viewership, right? But when you grow a little bit and you can maybe start thinking about being the top of some time slot somewhere in that category, then you should realistically really consider that, because being close to the top of the directory matters so much more than consistency. And if you can make that happen, it's going to increase your channel's growth. And so I did something similar to that. I first started off as, small stream, and I just streamed after school every day. And then I grew a little bit, and fortunately I didn't have to adjust my time zone too much, but I did by like an hour or two or something. And I ended up getting close to the top of the lower viewership of the day in the Gwent channel or Gwent directory. And because of that, obviously the channel grew a whole lot, because it was a very similar time slot to like Rashid. There's not a whole lot of competition there, and if you just grind it out, you're relatively likely to get close to the top of it, right? And then your channel grows, and then at that point again you can reconsider, okay, I'm at the top of this time slot in this directory. Let's migrate to a higher viewership time slots to again try to end up at the top of that directory as well.
That makes a ton of sense, right? Build an audience, and the audience who's invested in you because they finally discovered you, say, oh, hey, you're an entertaining streamer. Then migrate towards higher and higher viewership, because now you're ready to compete. Because all you need is to show up in the top 5, 10 results, and the amount of views you'll get is so much higher. If you're in the bottom, if you're off page 1, you're dead. So find the time slot or find the way to get just enough viewers to move up. Now, if you just get like 4 or 5 viewers, it sends you flying. It's all the one viewer people that really are done for. So if you're able to get a viewer, a friend to watch you, or even just like
I don't know how people start like the starting the like where you have 1 or 0 viewers. It must be luckily for me, I never actually really had that problem because when I started streaming Gwent, I was someone from like open beta. I was very often like in at least the top 50 on ranked ladder or whatever. So people kind of knew, and I was always very active in Twitch chat. So people kind of knew my name from around the Gwent community. So I never actually started like 0 or 1. I when I first started, I had like 10 to 15 average, and then it kind of every month it got a bit more and more and more. So I never had the problem of starting. I don't actually know what you do when you start off with 1 or 0 viewers. Like that's to me seems kind of incredible how people can actually get out of
You
that.
make
Like
YouTube
purgatory.
videos.
Yes,
Yeah,
YouTube
videos
is
help with that, I suppose.
everything. At least I know from my growth, this past month's no big deal, and it's totally YouTube led. Because YouTube does want to discover new creators. They want to find who's going to be the most engaging content creator and just feed you that content over and over. So while it's going to be harder to compete on Twitch because of discoverability, on YouTube, you just need to outdo everybody time and time again. Unlike Twitch, where you can have the best stream and nobody sees it, doesn't matter. It disappears once the stream's over. Which is why I think you see creators like Ludwig basically say, all my streams are structured in a way to create a YouTube video out of it, or 2 YouTube videos out of it. And rinse and repeat that. It also is really important because if you have a stream and nobody really attended it, it might be that you have great content. It just happened to be a bad day to live stream. On YouTube, though, it's eternal. If it's good content, it will get views. So I don't know. For me, I've become more and more focused on YouTube, and it's become a bigger and bigger part of the amount of money I make off of all of this. It's also a second revenue stream, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys find that you guys focus more on? I know Spyro said it's focused on the streaming side. Do you guys, when you guys think about your content, are you thinking about streaming or thinking about YouTube? Bit of both. How do you do that?
Mine completely flipped, to be honest. Like I was always putting like so much more time into Twitch, but then I was like, wait, what? My YouTube has like more subscribers than I have followers on Twitch, and I put like 0 effort into it. So then I really like stepped up YouTube a lot this year. And like right now, I'm not particularly enjoying Gwent, so I'd still like to make Gwent content. So I'm kind of like, I'll stream some Gwent to make a YouTube video, and then I'm not going to play Gwent anymore because I'm not really enjoying it. So definitely I've moved way more towards YouTube as like just in terms of a revenue source as well. Like I make more money from YouTube by quite a significant amount.
Yeah.
So yeah, like YouTube's been more, but like I always wanted to put loads into Twitch. And to be honest, if I was like still haven't played the game as much as I had, like I would still prioritize Twitch because I would love playing the game. Like I've got a very addictive personality where like if I'm enjoying it, I'll just want to play the game, and Twitch sort of feeds that habit, right? Whereas like at the moment, like I think, and in terms of like monetary value as well, like YouTube is going to be a better time investment. But Twitch has that like massive benefits as well, like fostering community and all those sorts of things. So definitely started for Twitch with me, and then it slowly transitioned to YouTube. But I would say, like in terms of growth, YouTube's going to be the better one as well. Like YouTube growth is really what pushed my Twitch channel forward as well last year.
It's kind of interesting. Mine is the exact opposite because my YouTube revenue is probably like 10% of my Twitch revenue.
Really?
I mean, you
so
make a
much
video like once a month, though.
No, I know, but like each video is only getting like what, like $20 a video on average. Like that's not exactly much, unless I mean, actually, I could.
I
Make a video
mean,
How
every
many
single
subs do you
day, but-
have? If you don't mind me
Well,
asking.
I don't know. Just do a little bit of math there, and
Yeah, no, I
hypothetically, say
guess
you
if
do
you
it
do
every
it every
day.
single, yeah, hypothetically, I do it every single day, I would probably increase it by like 3 times, but it's still then would still be like a third of what I earn from Twitch still.
I will say that even for big
Wow.
streamers, like they usually have the same amount of revenue off of Twitch and YouTube. YouTube is a huge deal. Spyro, to let you know.
Yeah, no. I really, the thing about YouTube for me is that after stream for 6 hours, I just find it so difficult to go, okay, time to make a thumbnail, time to make video content, time to edit it, time to upload it, and then it's like, what? I have like no time left for the day. Then I'm just like, okay, cool, it's now already 12 a.m., time to sleep, and then we rinse and repeat. And doing that every single day for like 7 days a week would probably just drive me up a wall.
Yeah, YouTube, without a doubt, is like an actual job. Whereas
Yeah.
Twitch, like, don't get me wrong, it's not exactly particularly easy, especially when like you aren't necessarily enjoying it, but you still have to do it. Because you know, you do still treat it as your job. But YouTube is like literally a job, right? You have to create this content, and you have to do things that aren't necessarily super entertaining, right? Creating thumbnails, creating or editing and uploading, and then manually placing ad breaks. It's a bunch of not very fun like busy work, but it is definitely worth it in terms of second revenue source and obviously the discoverability. For me, when I'm balancing between YouTube and Twitch, I initially started with Twitch, which, if I'm being honest, it's a mistake. It's why I was like a hard stuck, very low viewer stream for a very long time. Like I spent 8 months or so being sub 20 viewers because I just didn't have any like name recognition, right? I didn't have the benefit of Spyro being very active in Twitch chats, which is actually like a super big benefit, being able to have that name recognition, even if it's not from streaming, even if it's just from being a community member. Or even Spessy, because I think Spessy got a little bit of like a first movers advantage here, where he was streaming way back early, and he ended up getting like a 1,000 follower channel, which makes growth obviously a little bit easier because you got 1,000 people getting notified, right? I made a big mistake, which I mean, I don't regret it. You know, it taught me a lesson, right? But I made a big mistake for like 8 months where I was just spamming the go live button and hoping that it was going to work out. But you know, you need to be a little bit more clever about it. And eventually I did and started YouTube, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, I think having a strategy is key. I think
Hey,
it's
hey.
not just
Don't,
turning on the go
don't
live.
insult the spam go live button, friends.
You know, so Sarah, not everyone has that name recognition. I think if you have it, if you're a top player for a game in the world, if you can top 500 at whatever your game is, you can probably get some name recognition and can get a couple of viewers to bump you up a little bit faster. If you are not top 500, not top 200 in the world, not top 64 in the world, you gotta do everything in a very strategic manner. It is unlikely you're unique and interesting enough on your own to stumble your way into success. Strategize,
Yeah, no.
strategize. Key.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to play to your strengths, right, and figure out what the demand is, what you do best at, and how you can utilize that to your advantage. Obviously, like as you mentioned, for me, I obviously play quite competitively, and that's my. I don't really play memes. The only time I play memes is like at the start of the season when everyone's homebrewing, and I'll do some homebrews too. And
Yeah,
sometimes
don't
they'll
start.
actually
It's
not be
okay,
that
Spiro.
bad.
We don't need another meme. You don't have to play any memes. don't play any memes. I think from myself, Bushy here, especially, don't play any memes, man. It's all good.
But yeah, I just focus on the competitive aspect of things, and I just want to I want to do well, but also not be. I mean, still like engage a chat, still to help new players learn. Try to teach players how they can learn the game at a high level if possible. That's kind of what I try do basically. But yeah, it's you got to find something that you can do well, and then obviously and preferably something that can also help differentiate you from others too.
And relating to this, like going from 0 viewers to some amount of viewers kind of idea, we've talked about getting name recognition in chat like Spyro, or getting like a first mover's advantage like Spessy, or utilizing YouTube to get that discoverability. Another method is networking, which you do a really good job of, John. If you get your name out there by interviewing Spyro and Bushy and Spessy, that's a very good way of discoverability, because you make Spyro and Bushy and Spessy's viewers know who you are, and they get to decide if they like you.
Yes. Now there's I thought it was a genius idea for me. So when I know I'm a much smaller streamer than content creating each of you, and when I put together an interview series, I'm like, wow, I love interviewing people. I would love to hang out with a bunch of streamers and just chat with them. I also know that if I come together for a really interesting, unique content piece, and I'm going to do all the work, I just need them to show up and bring their viewers. Like, it's kind of like a good trade for anyone I interview. You get the opportunity to appear unbelievably human to your audience. More than just Gwent memes and Twitch chat will let you be in many cases. So they can become more invested in you as a person as opposed to the game. So I'm offering a lot of value. And in return, you're getting me some exposure, and I'm making a connection with somebody who's bigger than me. And I'm like, that's a pretty good trade. It's not as easy as, hey, let's go do a collab meme stream, right? Like, you can do that with anybody. But when I put that together, I said, wow, I'm going to really like this. And it's a very, very obvious mutual benefit. I put in the work. I give you the opportunity to really show yourself to your audience as a human. And in return, though, you show your audience to me. Like, your audience gets to see me. And call it even. If you're interested in, we'll do it. And the Gwent community and you guys all, I've interviewed every one of you, really receptive. It would seem to be a really good content piece for making connections. And now, of course,
Yeah,
you guys
Gwent's
are right
a
now.
lonely place, man. Like, opportunities to actually just like chat with other people is pretty rare. Like, until, I mean, certainly my like first 3 years of streaming, I never spoke to like another streamer really, mate. Like, I was just in my own lane doing my own thing. Admittedly, I was just having fun. I had no intention of it like actually being a job or anything. But like, it's just nice to have a change of pace. Like, it's the same with the watch party and stuff as well, right? Just like opportunities to just do something different, just relax, chill. Because like often like streaming, especially like a card game, right? It's a very lonely place where you're in your own lane, you're doing your own thing, So
Yeah, there was a real lack of networking in the Gwent space until like very recently. John started doing a lot of collaboration, and then it kind of inspired me, along with watching Shroud watch partying like Valorant, to also start up a watch party for Gwent. And yeah, I mean it's a very obvious benefit. Collaboration is great. It's why things like Amogus were so popular for so long, because networking makes huge, absolutely huge brands.
No, it does, and because it's showing your audience, it's basically both audience getting exposed to another streamer, and you're meeting on a term that's going to be fun, right? So if I collab in any manner with like Speci, right, we both leave our audiences in positive lights, and so if one of the Speci isn't on, maybe they'll come to my stream, or if I'm not on, maybe my viewers go to Speci's stream, because it's like, oh yeah, they're obviously hanging out, they're having a good time, and as you said, Among Us, it shows the absolute like peak of collab power. And while collabs aren't everything, I think some new streamers like collab. Like, no, I've seen only one streamer ever pull off a collab that I thought was actually doable. But it basically required that streamer to put in a ton of work because they had no viewers. But they put in a ton of work to create a piece of content that got one of the larger content creators inspired to work with them. But you have to typically bring something to the table. The larger you are, the less work you have to put in. But if you're tiny, you have to bring in a lot. You can't just go to the biggest streamer saying, we should play meme decks together. Like, no, not going to work. Not going to work. Got to come into something really well designed with a lot of thought and work. It's really interesting if you want to collab.
Yeah, and the Gwent scene obviously it's relatively, compared to other games, quite small, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is it's I think it's easier to be discovered within the Gwent scene, for example, than in other games. Like discoverability, we spoke about discoverability obviously earlier, but I think within the Gwent scene it's easier, but its ceiling is obviously a lot lower, and that's unfortunately that's the trade-off, I guess you could say, because obviously the Gwent scene is like, it has like its theoretical, kind of like a limit, but it's much easier to if you look at it. I remember one time for fun, this was probably when Fortnite was in its prime, I actually went to Fortnite and tried to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I kid you not, I spent like 15 minutes scrolling and I did not hit the bottom of the Twitch other direction. I was thinking to myself, how on earth is anyone here ever going to get discovered? It's impossible. It took me 15 minutes to scroll down. No human being's ever going to scroll down that far. It's just not possible. So like, at least in Gwent, even if you start off at 0, to be fair, you're kind of still, you're still within reach, but it's easier to start off in a game, a community that's smaller, but has still got a following, still has active users, but it's not like, oversaturated, for example, like Fortnite or whatever.
I would have, or I should say, I would not have streamed if Gwent didn't have the absolute stupidest, most generous streaming stats I've ever seen in a game. There are no games that are anywhere close, maybe except chess, that have anything remotely to the generosity of viewership relative to channel number relative to language that Gwent does. If you go on Sully Gnome, which is a great site for looking at stats for different streamers or the particular games, it's so stupid how generous Gwent is. And it's still competitive, and it's still difficult. Streaming is a brutal game, and if you're not coming in with everything, you're gonna fail. But I would have never, I would have never been a streamer if it wasn't for how silly, like how skewed Gwent is and generous it is to new streamers.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about this in your interview with me, John, but Gwent just has a lot of viewership for like essentially no channels, and it's like that's important, but something else that's also important is that it's just not too large, because
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, still, if you're trying to grow a channel from zero and it's a very, very low proportion of viewers to channels that are streaming, um even then you're still going to end up on page two, and you're not going to get discovered. So Gwent is a very prime breeding ground of new streamers for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think also on YouTube, just to put it's like a complete or lack of content. Not glut, that's the wrong word. Complete lack of content. So if somebody wanted to break in and they said, you know what, I think I can stream 2 hours in a good time slot every day and make one YouTube video every other day from my 2 streams that'll back to back, you could break in my honest opinion. There is just so little content for this game. Still requires a lot of work, still requires, as Spyro pointed out earlier, it sucks ending a stream, then going to download it. You have to wait like 30 minutes for Twitch to be like, here's your file. And then you have to queue it in and start editing it and trying to get the footage right, edit the audio, upload it, thumbnail. For me, I can tell you, I do that every day.
You should definitely just be recording as well as streaming. You shouldn't download from Twitch, but continue.
Is that? Well, elaborate. Well, okay, you can tell me, shoot me a message after. I'd love to know why, because I've been downloading off Twitch and just cutting it up from there.
I've also been down. I mean, recording.
Rate.
I mean, if you're recording, isn't it like I mean, I guess it's the same as downloading, I suppose. I guess you can also, yeah.
Unless there's a huge loss in quality. I haven't noticed the loss in quality though. But anyways, much more.
It's a lot. Like the difference between like 6K and 15K bitrate is a lot, and you can change individually the streaming bitrate and recording bitrate, and that just makes the YouTube videos look better.
Fancy. Well, I'll be investigating that. Thank you, Bushy. I want to know some the advice for larger streamers too. Thank you. All right, a quick question for you guys. What do you think, going to another one, what do you think the most common mistake is you see in new streamers? When you stop by like that one viewer stream, what do you look at and you're like, God, I can't believe you're doing it?
There's a lot. First of all, first of all, I think the bare minimum, you need to have a webcam. I just feel like when I don't even look at a stream if that doesn't have a webcam. I think the first thing you need to do is have a webcam. I for me at least, I don't know, maybe not everyone feels the same way as I do, but when I don't see a webcam, I'm already turned off by the stream. The second thing is you need to actually be like talking about something, talk about your gameplay, talk about something. If someone's just quiet and doing nothing, just saying nothing, I'm just gonna be like, it's just going to be like a mod check moment, and then you're going to leave.
Yeah.
So you need to be talking about something, doing something, just have something people can like talk about or talk to you with.
Just on the webcam bit as well, like to avoid misconceptions, like there are like some anomalies. Like for example, I was a few weeks ago like randomly doing some no webcam streams, like just late at night when there was no one streaming, because I was like, I'm just going to stream, and like I'm already established.
Yeah, like you're already established, right? So like,
and people were like, at the time it was a new expansion, like people wanted to just watch me play some Gwent, you know, people are like invested in that. Similarly, like Paya, he can turn his stream on with no camera and people are going to show up, you know. But like if you're a brand new streamer, nah, it's not it, right? Like it's if you're already established, you can get away with it. Like my rule when I host people is I just look for English and a camera. Like that's
I mean, like as a rule of thumb, if you're trying to grow, you should not be giving yourself any disadvantage, right? You should have good audio quality. That's much more important than a webcam, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you should also obviously have a webcam, but like, hypothetically, money's tight. You should choose a good mic, you know, rather than a headset mic before a webcam for sure, and make, you know, $70 off of streaming and then buy that webcam or something, right? But still, you have to reach that bare minimum of quality first, and then, you know, obviously develop yourself. And if you are giving yourself every advantage that you possibly can have, and you aren't just actively being a detriment, just simply due to the quality of your content, you know, you need to have the internet speed, or you need to choose a game that's like less movement oriented, like Gwent, so that you are capable of streaming at like a 1K bit rate on really slow internet instead of, you know, the 6K bit rate that Twitch usually requires. And you just need to reach that bare minimum of quality first. Like that's without a doubt the most important thing. Nobody's going to watch or discover your stream if it just looks like shit.
100%.
And then after that, this definitely isn't the biggest mistake I can ever think of, but it's something that just seems really common. And I kind of understand why, but it's joining a team, and obviously I've joined a team. All three of us have joined a team. But like I see lots of new streamers just searching out joining a team for no real reason. They don't really know why they're doing it, and it's just
Mm.
like this human nature thing to like search for a group that they want to be a part of. But what does it do for you? You know,
Yeah.
are you signing a
Yes.
contract that's getting you paid? Are you being required to advertise their sponsors? Or, you know, is there any sort of positive exchange that's happening in this team? Or are you just doing it because you think it's a cool idea? Because most of the time you're just doing it because you feel like that's what you're supposed to do. But no, there's literally no reason most of the time to do it.
Yeah,
For
like
me,
So,
I
sorry.
chose to join TLG because I thought I was going to be like utilizing the team to help me get better at the game and start competing. Turns out a month after that, I decided competing was an awful idea, but that was my reasoning.
interesting. No, so let me chime in here on all the things. First, Bushy, 100% right. Audio is number one. That is the highest priority. Get a crappy webcam, get a decent mic. I also
Mhm.
want to add in, if you look at my stream, it's the most basic, terrible looking thing ever. My logo is literally the worst one I could think of because I thought it would stand out. Don't go on Fiverr, drop $40, make your thing look pretty.
Yeah.
You don't need that. You don't need nice transitions. Just be entertaining. You can do 2 scenes, one where you play the game, one is you're just a zoom in on your face. You don't need to be fancy for any of that. So please just put your money into a microphone, get an okay webcam, or hook up your phone so you can see with some. I think a piece of technology like use your phone now instead of a webcam. Great, do that. Start streaming. That's it. You don't need to do anything fancy. My I'm going to the restroom sign is literally a text file from Streamlabs. It just pops up. It
Wait,
says,
you have a go to the restroom sign?
yeah. It's
That
just
sounds very high tech.
yeah, I know. It says it's text. So if you go in the Streamlabs, there's text you can write, and all it says is 1 minute bathroom, please forgive, and that's it. It's the worst looking thing ever. But you can build a brand that way. My brand is simple. I don't need to worry about it. And I don't want to put money into something that might not pay off. Put your money into your microphone. Put it into your webcam. Put it into more interesting things. I did want to talk about the team because I think the only one here who hasn't joined the team. Teams for competitors in Gwent, trying to get competitive, make a lot of sense, right? You get a bunch of practice partners. You can get access to people who are kind of on the down and out. They're not going to compete anymore, but they can give you advice, help you with deck building. Content creators, I haven't sought out a team because I haven't found a really strong benefit to joining one. If they say, hey, look, we have our own video editors, we can help you. We can hook you up with sponsors, like you can make more money. Those would entice me. If I have a content idea, so like one thing is I know like TLG, I think all three of you are part of TLG. They have a whole Legends of Runeterra team. Well, that's gonna be hard for me to get in connections into Legends of Runeterra from playing Gwent. Hey, I could join a team if I want to make some Legends of Runeterra content and have a leg in. Like those are the things that would entice me to joining a team. Joining for like, oh, we're just gonna hang out with a bunch of friends is not enough for me. There has to be, it's all strategy. Streaming is so competitive. Content creation is so competitive that every minute you put into something has to have a reason behind even spending it. So that's my 2 cents on teams. And
Yeah, the team
Mhm.
team thing's like really interesting for me because I never had any interest in joining a team, like absolutely zero. I had a lot of teams like approach me, like, and I was just like, nah, sorry, it's not really for me. And then the reason I joined TLG last year was because the TLG Invitational was happening.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, I knew for a long time I wanted to try and be a Gwent caster, something I've spoken to John about before.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, cool, I can join TLG, I can get a casting opportunity at the TLG Invitational, and then hopefully that can open some other doors. So I joined TLG. As it turned out, like I think it was actually just even without the casting, it turned out to be really good for my channel because
Mhm.
I sort of went from just being like, I'm just gonna play my deck. I don't give a damn. I'm just gonna play my deck. I'm gonna do it. And from being in TLG, like I made a lot of really good friends of, like, for example, like Pyebol, Gravesh, Green Knight, who like I went from being like playing terrible decks on ladder to like still playing kind of bad decks, but they were at least better, right?
Yep.
So I was able to get better scores with them, and it even like ended up with me like as a result from joining TLG, like I was able to be part of like the prep team for Freddy, right? Because like I really worked hard on getting better at building decks, and I wouldn't have done that without joining TLG. So
Yep.
like even though for me it was definitely like I want to be getting casting opportunities, I also do think actually having like an opportunity to join a team, if you can make those connections. Like I look at like Legacy, for example, right? I see a lot of like Max and Mel as an example. Like they've joined Legacy. I got absolutely schooled by them in some tournament the other week, and that's probably because they had like some people, that they speak to about building good decks and that sort of thing.
Nice.
So there's definitely advantages to it, but like it's not like no way should it be a priority, right? It's just like
Yeah.
I think particularly in Gwent, like if you're looking to get better at the game, that's when it makes sense to join a team, right?
Yeah, I
And
think
the biggest thing about the biggest downside to joining a team, which I will admit doesn't really happen very often in the Gwent scene, at least I haven't seen it, is more often than not like there's like a whole market of these like small esports orgs that are just literally looking to take advantage of you. They reach out to your stream when you're growing and they tell you, put this on your stream, we won't pay you a damn thing. You're going to advertise for free for us and you aren't going to get anything out of it. But you, as a small streamer, might agree to it because you're looking for that place of belonging. So like evaluate it. What are you getting out of it and what are you giving in return? And oftentimes, especially small streamers, really undervalue just how much the attention that they're working for is actually worth. And you really demean the quality of your stream if you put like a little ad roll in the bottom right of your stream, especially as a small streamer. Like if you aren't getting paid for that, don't do that. It doesn't make sense.
Yes. And I think there's also, and going off of that into just money in general, if you want to go full-time streaming takes a lot of time to build up revenue. It is not overnight success, and it's not these multi-millionaire streamers is not the norm.
What do you mean? Every stream is a millionaire. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, right? No, it's not the norm. Like, isn't it mind-blowing? It's like we all don't have disguised toast money. No, it is. You should. If you ever said that and say, I want a full-time stream, great. Save money, because it is going to take time and effort. It is a business, and it has a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of potential to scale. If you're able to go from 100 viewers to 1,000 viewers, and then expand, leave Gwent, move to something else, or have alternate content that brings in more views, or YouTube grows. You don't really have a cap, right? You are your own business. There is no one saying, this year you did really well, Bushy. You get 7% on your salary. No, you get everything you earn. But it takes a lot of time to vamp up. It is a brutal attention game, and you need the funds in the bank to fight the war. My 2 cents.
Yeah. Starting streaming, it's quite difficult because of the fact in the beginning you probably can't rely on it. So you to fully succeed in streaming, a lot of the time you have to like kind of go all in and actually fully dedicate to it. But at the same time, it's also very dangerous to do that because it's a big risk. So you have to also you probably have a job or you do your own work or whatever, which kind of limits your streaming time, which is quite difficult because for the first year of streaming, I'm pretty sure I was earning like minimum wage, if less than minimum wage, actually probably less than minimum wage.
Not even close.
Not
I
even
would bet.
close.
Like it just don't really get much from it in the beginning, and it's I don't know, that's the difficult part. I mean, it's balancing between real life and streaming, and if you want to try and make streaming real life, that's the thing I don't know how a lot of people to balance, right? Like how do you go from saying, okay, well, I have a full-time job, I can't afford to stream full-time, to actually going, okay, it's time to actually do this full-time and actually fully dedicate to it. That is quite a difficult hurdle to overcome, and I'm not sure how most people go about doing that.
I think there's like a really easy rule of thumb here. Like probably the most popular question to someone like Harris Heller, who I'm sure all you guys know, he's like a stream
Alpha
doctor.
gaming.
He helps, or he makes YouTube videos about how to make your streams better and how to make it or turn it into a business. Anyway, I'm sure his most popular question is, I have this many viewers, can I go full time? And more often than not, if you're asking that question, the answer is probably no, because if you don't trust yourself enough and you need somebody else to tell you whether or not you're ready, you're probably fucked.
Yep.
Because you need to be able to trust yourself to have the plan, have the financial discipline to actually make it happen for yourself. And if you need somebody else to tell you that it's okay to do it, you don't have the discipline, the prep work, or the self-confidence to actually make it happen.
Yeah, 100%. It is just like any entrepreneurial risk. You're gambling with your money. You're betting on yourself, saying, I'm going to defy the odds and make this work. And Your money is your runway. When you run out, you go back to working corporate. You go back to whatever job you were before or something similar. And you have to say, look, I know for myself, I think about it, I'm like, wow, I was really doing well in corporate. I eventually left corporate to try a couple different entrepreneurial activities. This one is my current success. This one seems to be working. Almost at full-time income. But I'm not there. I'm still in the red every month. And I have to sit there and say, if this fails, I'm gonna lose a bunch of money. But I know how to invest. I know how to become. I was doing really well in corporate. Like was having a very successful career ahead of me. And I'm gonna have to suck it up, throw away my pride, go back, be right back where I started because I didn't keep getting promotions. Right, I left to go try my own thing. I have to maybe work for people that used to be my peers. Now they might be my boss, and it's gonna suck. And when we go to parties and people are sitting there or just catching up with them, they're like, "Oh, and now I lead this division." I'm like, well, I'm 4 years behind. I'm not at a director level. Can't do anything. I'll always be a little bit behind. And I have to swallow my pride and basically say, okay, that's the downside risk. Am I willing to suck that up?
I think the biggest thing is a lot of people get attracted to stream because they think it's an easier way out. Like it's something to do it's easier. I can tell you for a fact, it is pretty damn hard if to the amount of time you got to invest in it. And unless it's your like absolute passion, like you really enjoy doing it, like you just love streaming or doing it in general, I would highly recommend to rethink before you decide, it's just something I can do. It's easier, right? I just play a game for a couple of hours a day. It's so easy, right? Just play a game and it's better than going to work. It's a lot harder than it looks. I know it looks easy on the surface, but there's a lot going on behind it.
Yep, 100%. I think, unfortunately, I have a feeling we have to wrap up here because I think, Bush, you're about to start your stream, right? Or
I'm down to keep going.
Oh, I'm going to keep going if everyone else is, but I'm also the one who's just together. How are you guys both doing?
Yeah, I'm good to chill for a bit. I'm gonna go eat in probably like half an hour, 45 minutes. But...
Beer, I know you have food, so I could
probably stick around for another 10-15 minutes.
All right, we'll keep going for another 15. Go. Actually, I think we have some questions. Baron, did you in the chat gather some questions? If you're able to post a link in Discord, we can just grab some questions from the chat, make them all happy.
While he's doing that,
keep going.
I'd like to take a look at one of your other topics that you posted in our Discord that talked about how much money is in streaming, because I know this is like a really taboo topic. The advice almost always is don't get into streaming for the money, which I mean, I kind of like the sentiment, but ultimately if your goal is to go full time, you should definitely know what full time looks like and how exactly you're going to be making the money and what you're going to need to sacrifice and how you're going to need to be frugal and how much money you can reasonably expect to make in any given time frame. Because I for all of us, I sincerely doubt that we're living like any reasonable sort of like middle class style lifestyle. I'm sure there's a lot of financial sacrifices that's being taken place for 100%. The purpose of making the streaming thing happen, right?
Yes, 100. I mean, I'm in the red. I'm burning through my savings every month. Like that is, and I'm almost a year into this. I'm like 4 months away from a year, so do you have enough savings to live for a year and by yourself, or if you have to move back home to cut rent? How much is your budget? Like these finance is a real part of this because you're basically trying to fund a hyper competitive. You're in a hyper competitive industry where you're likely to fail, way more likely to fail than other business ventures and ideas. And you have to be confident enough and have the money to last long enough to get to at least break even. So then time doesn't become a factor. But you will be working for way less than minimum wage. Right? I'm working in the red every month and I'm putting in a minimum of 60 hours a week. Often more than that. And I'm still in the red. Like I'm not even more close to break even.
Well, for me personally, I've lived like incredibly frugally, and I don't really mind that. I kind of make it a bit of a meme, right? I live in my mom's basement, right?
Yes.
Which obviously it's a little bit funny, but also it saves a lot of money. I pay my mom $500 a month for rent rather than, what would be $1,500 a month. And that saves a lot of money. And it means that I actually am in the green and I'm allowed to make other good financial decisions like saving up to buy a house at this point. That's the goal for, the next 3 to 5 years, right? And that style of thing, that self-discipline, that financial self-discipline is just really, really necessary, because when you're starting out, and I mean, I think financially, I'm pretty sure maybe Trinet makes the most money out of all the Gwent content creators. I'm not sure. I don't know his numbers. But
I think
outside of Trinet, I'm willing to bet that I'm probably up there. And that should really just go to show like I just passed the green. Well, I'm passing the green by living very, very frugally. And it's not particularly easy. And I'm very reasonably might be the one that's making the most money out of the whole Gwent scene.
I'll give you guys a hint of how much about the first year and a half of streaming. I made about a whopping $11,000. Whole year and a half of streaming 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, no breaks. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
That's basically
100%.
And you had a really good first year, right?
Yeah,
Like-
that is true. I also relatively speaking to other Gwent streamers, I would say I would have a much better so I don't even know what other Gwent streamers do, but yeah.
Yeah, like your growth in the first year was completely absurd and entirely unexpected. And even then, you know, like that's very, very low wages. Obviously, it depends on where you live and cost of living and all that, right?
Yeah, of course.
But still, very low wages.
Cool.
the money one's interesting as well because like for me it all happened very quickly. Like last year lockdown happened, I was like cool, build a PC. I was doing teaching remotely from home, I started streaming, blah blah blah. Come like September when I was like actually back in the classroom, I stopped streaming for like pretty much 3 months. And then when December came, I was like kind of don't want to like take another teaching job because I was living at home. I just caught COVID, like living with my dad. I was like, I don't really want to go back into the classroom. I was a bit fed up with just like the whole COVID situation. And I had my YouTube channel, which was doing well. Like I'd still been uploading on that. And I was like, cool, I'm just going to go for it. I'm living at home, so I'm not paying like in a similar situation to Bushy, right? Where I'm like paying my dad money, not as much as rent. But I'm now at the point where like I've got a flat viewing on Tuesday. Where I'm moving is like pretty bloody expensive. Like it's going to cost me a lot of money for just a flat. So that's where it's going to come to the point where I'm going to be very nervous, like about actually how much, you know, I'm making. But fortunately, like I've got my YouTube channel, which like I've been consistent with. Like I've got like a good core community of subs and stuff, which obviously helps. I've done some casting, which like does pay like very lucratively, like compared to like in terms of like time investment. So I would hope to like have that sort of in the future. But also, like I've got to this point where I'm like, okay, cool. It's gone from very, very quickly just being a hobby to like actually I need to start thinking of it like a business, right? Which is like not something I was ever doing before. Like I still work very, very hard and I've always tried to work very smartly. But like money was never my priority. Like enjoyment and like just wanting to do this because I enjoy doing it was like the priority, right? But now it's switched massively. As soon as that like moment goes from like hobby to full time, like everything changes, right? Which is
my initial like goal. All I cared about was growth. All I cared about was growth. I didn't care at all about the money. Now, like you said, also it's now kind of shifted away. But now I'm also quite subconscious about the financial aspect because I kind of also just start thinking about financially becoming sound, so to speak. But for the first like year or so, I said, okay, you think about money for the first like year or so is probably is crazy. Forget about money, just focus on growth. That's all that matters. And then from there,
which I mean,
recently shifted.
Growth is money, to be fair.
That's the thing. It's long. That's the thing. It's more long term money, right? It's long term value that you can't really actually even quantify in terms of money.
That's why I'm like starting to look to branch out, hopefully, and like diversify my content a bit. I've sort of reached that point. I've known it's coming for a long time where I want to start like at the moment, for example, I played a different game on stream today for like the first time pretty much ever. Like it feels like anyway. And I just had actually fun. And I was like, I kind of miss this, right? Because Gwent has got to the point for me at least where I'm playing it a lot of the time because it's my job, right? Like I've got a YouTube video to make, etc. And I want to get to the point where like I'm gonna be playing Gwent. Like if I was to randomly like start playing a different game and blow up and become like the biggest streamer in the world, I would be like, guys, there's this game called Gwent. You've got to try it, right? Like I love the game to bits. Like it's my favorite game of all time, like without doubt. But when it is like you're waking up and you're logging on Gwent, like that's where that all switches, right? And it is a business decision that I'm playing Gwent for at that point, right? It's not a hobby, of course. So it's really interesting how that just flips very quickly. Like when you're not doing it full time, when I was working as a teacher full time, I was like, man, these early mornings, like holy moly, I just wish I was like still in bed doing something else. And then I switched to full time streaming, and I'm like, oh my god, these early mornings are killing me.
Yeah.
I'm up late editing and all that sort of stuff, right? So it's very interesting how it switches, but like it does go very quickly from being a hobby to a business. And yeah, as you guys say, like you don't make a lot of money off it for sure. You have to really invest a lot of time. Like I certainly make a lot more money teaching, and I wasn't making that much money teaching.
Yeah, I think it's one thing for the questions. Maybe we'll do a follow-up episode. I'm having trouble getting them on my phone. But for streaming, if you decide to go full-time, like know if you're going to do it as a hobby, you can turn on the start streaming button whenever, put out a video whenever. But the moment you say, you know, I actually want to I might want to make something of this, it is a business. Think of it as a business. And because if you are not, your competitor is. I think of it as a business. But also, one thing I think is overrated when you're just starting out is Twitch affiliate. Just don't sign up for it. Just don't sign up for it. Because if you don't sign up for it, there are no ads on your channel.
Don't you need to sign up for a Twitch affiliate to get like subs and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah,
But
I'm not sure I agree with that.
If you have 5 viewers and 1 sub, you're making $250 a month.
It's interesting.
So screw that. Get rid of. Don't sign up. You won't have any pre-roll ads.
What are the downsides you say?
So pre-roll ads, they're the ads that run when you click on a stream. 40% of
the
people
only
who see
real
one
argument
leave.
I could see for that is if you wanted to like multi-stream to Twitch, YouTube, and whatever other live streaming platforms.
Yeah,
I could understand that if that was your idea, and then see which one you grow the most on. But I think going for affiliate as soon as it's available is generally a good idea.
interesting.
Assuming you're going to stick on Twitch.
Yeah, I didn't. So I was Twitch only, but I didn't do it because pre-roll ads won't run on new accounts. It was one of the things, or non-affiliates. It's one of the things that Twitch did to promote discoverability. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, kind of. But if you hit a pre-roll ad, 40% of viewers who see it are going to click off it. If you're going to only have 6 people click on your stream per day, you aren't going to make any money off ads. You're not going to make any money off subs. Do you really want to potentially turn away 1 or 2 of your 6 people who will give you a chance?
I guess it depends. I never was really in that 6 viewer category. So for me, it was like I started streaming within about within a week or two. I was affiliate. I was probably within about a month having like an average of 50 or something viewers, and I was already quite quickly pushing for partners. So it just felt like the next step to take logically. So I didn't, and I would have lost out on quite a few subs if I didn't actually enable that. So I guess it depends on what level exactly you are, but I think that for people that are like steadily growing, I think it does make sense to just become an affiliate when it is available.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you're like a hard stuck 3 viewer Andy or something, right? I can get what you're saying there, John. But
like you definitely naturally just say, oh cool, I'm an affiliate, well let's sign her up for that. But it's interesting that like definitely pre-roll ads are something that like as a streamer, and certainly it's something I've become more aware of recently, like they've really damaged like the growth you have, right? Like if I click on some random stream and it gives me a 30-second ad, bro, I ain't sticking around. I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah, they're really long as well.
So I don't know if this is true, but I was randomly watching a Cutie Cinderella stream. I know. Yes.
Learned a lot about Specimen.
She said that if she rolls a 3-minute ad, it stops pre-rolls for a whole hour. So I've started trying that when I go to the toilet, because I'm normally gone for 3 minutes. I don't actually know if it's doing anything, but certainly if you run ads, it disables pre-rolls for a certain amount of time, right?
You have to turn it on in the settings menu. So I imagine you've just been farming the ads.
Farming the non-existent ad revenue, because that's one thing about Twitch, right? Like you get what, 5%? I don't know the exact figure. It's basically pennies.
Well, I don't know what the percentage based is, but Twitch just does an awful job of selling ads.
Yeah,
there's no money in ad revenue on Twitch.
The ad revenues, actually, you know what's weird is I don't see the correlation with viewer count and ad revenue, because like my viewer count can go up and my ad revenue will go down. This doesn't make even any sense.
Twitch
I mean, to be fair, the numbers you need to be looking at is live views, or live views rather than concurrent viewers.
I think
because you could have a lower concurrent viewer count that's just clicking back in constantly, right?
Yeah. I think one thing I want to chime in though on the ad thing is YouTube ads do pay very well. So if you see, if you're an affiliate on Twitch, you run the ads, you say, wow, I got 5 cents this month off ads. Ads suck. Twitch ads suck. YouTube, on the other hand, here comes the money. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure Twitch has got to move away from that at some point as well, right? Like
Yeah, well, it's
the
because
whole
they
like
have outdated systems.
toxic ad revenue deal.
Right.
Yeah,
I
the whole
also think
50 cut,
Twitch
50%
50/50
cut is, I think,
cuts
yeah,
not
I
on.
think it's
I've been
a
given
bit
them
outdated.
any time I get feedback chance to Twitch. Like I was chilling with my little brother on holiday the other day, and Twitch sent me an email for a $5 Amazon Prime gift card. I was like, oh yeah, the hustle is real, guys. Right? I've got to squeeze out the pennies. So I was doing this little Twitch survey thing on my phone for my $5 Amazon discount, and it asked for feedback, and they were like the two things I mentioned. Like, come on, guys, give me more bloody. Like, I'd be very tempted to try and stream on YouTube if I didn't already have like I'd be really interested to see actually what would happen if someone was to
So-
stream Gwent on YouTube.
I
Any of you guys
thought
thought
about
about
that
doing
a
it?
you would probably be the only
You'd have
streamers.
to-
You'd have no competition.
yeah, I thought
And
about
you'd
it.
have to get rid
on-
of partner, which that's a
Yeah.
problem.
Well, so I thought about it because YouTube, they give you better splits on the subs. It's 70-30 instead of 50-50 for everybody, not just the top. Like XQC has probably a 70-30. But in terms of if you put $5,
I
70% there,
think it's if you start having more than an average of 1,000 subscribers a
Yeah, yeah.
month, that's when they start. That's when they give it you 70-30.
but it takes a lot.
Which
It's
for any Gwent streamer, no one's getting anywhere near 1,000 subs a month, so we can all kiss that dream goodbye.
Is there even 1,000 subs of all the combined Gwent streamers? Probably not by that much. Right?
No.
It'll be over.
I would think so.
yeah, we'd be over
Yeah.
1,000 if we all
There
combined.
will be.
I think,
I would think somewhere around like 2 to 3. I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
probably. But
uh,
yeah.
But what I was gonna say is one thing that turned me off from it. I was thinking about it a lot because early on, gotta get discovered. Well, if there's 0 people on YouTube, but there's enough of a YouTube population watching Gwent videos, hey, they might be interested in a Gwent live stream. You can monopolize, and it might still be a good decision to be blunt. Some
Yeah,
watching
but as
this-
Bushy
Yeah.
mentioned,
Might just
it,
do
it,
it.
it's with the Twitch partner agreement. It's kind of
affiliate
illegal.
blocks it
Yeah.
too.
But you've also got like all the people that want to watch Gwent live
Mhm.
are on Twitch, right? Like there is a big
yes.
Twitch Gwent community, so there's that downside. But like, yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? I've always thought about like what would actually happen if, like, hypothetically, I was just to do a YouTube stream. Like, let's imagine the Twitch partner stuff is irrelevant. Like,
Mhm.
actually, how that would go.
Yeah, I did
Kinda
a
cool.
poll on YouTube. So YouTube community has the ability to do polls, and I polled saying, where do you guys get your live streams from? Just in general, not just Gwent, but live streams. And Twitch seems to be the dominant place because YouTube and Twitch had about an even score, but not everybody who watches on Twitch uses YouTube. I just have the YouTube audience, so if it's about even, it's skewed towards Twitch. But the one thing that really turned me off from doing it was I think there's enough of a distinction between Twitch and YouTube's audience that I can basically double dip better. If I do it live on Twitch, I get the just Twitch people, and then just if I upload it to YouTube, YouTube will always be a video site for first and foremost. So I don't feel like I'm missing out on people by doing it or by not live streaming on YouTube. I don't think there's many people that go to YouTube just for live streams. So I think I get the VOD that audience just for the VODs, and then get the Twitch only audience on Twitch.
And to go back a little bit, I saw a comment earlier that said something along the lines of, if you're thinking about money, you're never going to succeed when you're starting out, which I mean, I absolutely don't agree.
Yeah.
Like, sure, maybe if you're like doing this as a hobbyist, kind of like Specimen, and you literally have zero intention of ever trying to make it work for you, and maybe you just happy accident end up being in a position that you financially can make it work out, sure, like then I guess that makes sense. But acting as if like that's the only correct path just like is definitely not true.
It's also more likely to be wrong. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
off. I just agree with you
sure,
entirely.
the majority of streamers right now, big streamers, massive streamers, started when Twitch was essentially a little hobbyist platform when there wasn't a career to make out of it. But I would say the vast majority of Twitch partners, of people that are doing it full time now, are actually ones that started off with doing it as a business with the intention of getting it to grow into something. And they thought about, okay, how do I need to save money? How do I need to spend money? How am I going to make this money so that I can actually buy myself the time to get this to work for myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
That's-
even with
those
me,
are the
even though it was a
questions you need to
hobby,
ask.
like it was still like all the decisions I was making, I was thinking, how can I do this best, right? I spent £50 on a PS4 camera. I had a microphone that was like half decent. I just went for it, and then kind of just went from there. But like, at the same, like I was still doing like good decisions, right? Like I was getting better at the game. I was making YouTube videos from day one, you know, all these sorts of things. So even though I was treating it as a hobby more, like, and I had the passion, like I was still chasing the growth, right? And I still had the ambition of doing it full time, but money wasn't the thing that, like, you know,
Yeah,
as we said, it's like investing in growth can be the approach, but also like being more business savvy is only ever going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I think if you want to make it as a streamer and you're saying, should I treat this like as a passion, like I'm going to be the best streamer ever, a hobby, like I'll play with it, I'm sure it'll work out, or a business, the best path is business. 100%. You will increase your odds of success at being a streamer if every decision you make, every morning you wake up and you think about your stream, every time you put any money into a piece of equipment, etc., if you're thinking about it as a business. Those are the people who are most likely to succeed. The days of I'm 17, I worked at GameStop, I started streaming as a hobby, and now I'm a multimillionaire. Those days are gone, and they will never come back. Anyway, Spear, I know you had something earlier. You're good, you're good.
If there was, I might have forgotten.
Oh, all good. But yeah, no, business, guys. This is it's a brutal competitive place. It's one of the most competitive businesses you can think about. Everybody wants to be a content creator, and you need to be better than everybody if you want to make it. And look, I mean, you look at just the money we talked about earlier. Spiro, you said a year and a half, you made 11K. Yep. That's what all the hard work, all the effort. And Spiro, who's already well known in the community, had a leg up, could start with 10 to 15 viewers, still isn't rolling in riches. So think of how competitive it is and what you're actually competing for. And be smart about it.
Mm-hmm. Mate, and just like my biggest tip to someone starting out, like my biggest tip is like, mate, I always find it very interesting how many overlaps there are between teaching, like in a primary school setting, like I do, and having like a Twitch community. Just show the people in your chat that you actually care about them. Ask some questions, find out about them, you know? Start a Discord channel or whatever else it might be, like play some games. But like for me, that's my style. Bushy's obviously not feeling the same, but for me, like that was when I was first starting. Like I feel like that's just like I still try and do it to this day. I definitely don't do it all the time, but like I think that's going to be your quickest path to actually having a successful Twitch channel, like where you can just take off quickly. Like people want to come back because you know you've got a relationship with them.
I mean, you certainly have a point there. I'm memeing a little bit, but that niceness, the benefit of it, I don't think is like inherently being nice. I think the benefit is some sort of sense of community. That's what matters the most, right?
100%.
Because you need to build the habits of your viewership, and building a community is a really solid way to do that. If you do that by being very, very nice, very wholesome, very engaging, like you're saying, Spessy, that's a good way to do it. The way that I do it is by spamming monkey in the Twitch chat and starting a fucking jungle raid.
But that works, right? When you're building community, you should be thinking about community should be on your mind because you want people to feel invested, they feel like they belong. And you can pick any of them. Some top streamers hate their community because they didn't put enough time and effort into cultivating it. But like I keep a really wholesome community. Bushy keeps like a really monkey community. And then we each have
I have a different kind of monkey community.
Yes. But we each think about, as a streamer, you should be thinking about what do I want? If you're swearing on stream all the time, your chat's going to swear. And if you like that, great. If it turns out, hey, maybe you don't like everybody swearing in the chat, you've done a bad job. And that's on you. Excellent.
Also, at the same time, I've seen lots of troll comments that go something like chat is a reflection of the streamer, but that's somewhat true. There is some truth to that, but obviously there's always trolls. So, you know,
100%.
Make sure you don't get gaslit by Twitch chat.
Yep.
And don't be afraid to call people out, mate. Like, even though I'm saying I have like a cool relationship, you best believe when I wasn't playing Gwent today and I had like 7 people come into my chat saying, "You've betrayed Gwent," I called them various names. Like, don't be afraid to show some passion, man. Like, just because like you've got your core community doesn't mean you can't like have a bit of ban. Like, I banter like Grimmy's in the chat. I always like Grimmy off, mate. I unmod him all the time and stuff, you know, like because he knows I'm not being that serious, and I know he's gonna come back. You know, like you can go about it in many ways. Don't be afraid to like, if you do want to take this approach of having like a chill community where you're like asking questions or Bushy, like you can go both ways. You know, you can mix up, just be yourself ultimately, but like have that interaction. You get me, right?
Yeah.
Like just have that interaction when you start, especially like when you get bigger, you don't have to worry about it anywhere near as much. Like I can do a no cam stream where I play music and I'm not talking to chat, and I will still have people show up now because I've already developed that. But when you start, like it's all about chat, mate. I really think like with Twitch, it should all be about your chat when you first start.
Yeah, I think a lot about when designing a stream and thinking about how I want to interact on there. How is this stream, watching it all live, going to be better than a YouTube highlights video from the stream? Like, how am I going to make it better than just the best content from the stream all put together in one 20-minute video? There's no waiting to find the match. There's no changing a card in the deck that we're debating it for 5 minutes. If I just give you the best portions of the stream on a YouTube video, why would you tune in? And it is that sense of community. It is that chat interaction. That is what makes a live stream different than just a custom YouTube video. And so you can turn your stream into a YouTube video, but if you're doing both, you got to be constantly thinking about how do I, on each of those platforms, highlight what the community wants there, right? YouTube wants the highlights and the cool moments. Twitch wants interaction, and you have to balance them both. You have to deliver both.
Yeah, and like Spessy said a little bit earlier, he thinks the most valuable part of being like kind, the nice community aspect is at the beginning, which retrospectively I definitely agree, Spessy, because I have a funny example of Hippo. If you guys, I mean, he used to be a very, very common Gwent watcher, but he's since queued out a little bit. But his name is Hippo Tompotamus.
Okay.
And when he first came into my chat, I kind of made fun of the name because I was like, well, you spelled hippo wrong. I was just making a joke, and I thought it was funny. I was having a good time, but Hippo didn't like it, and I didn't see him for like another 6 months. And it wasn't until the 6 months later where he showed back up in the chat, and I was like, I guess I wasn't a very good first impression, was it? And it turns out it wasn't. And so yeah, I mean, there's obviously upsides and downsides to your various choice of community, because also just being kind, you're much more likely to not really stand out as well, right?
Yep. Well,
Just think
it
like
depends.
what works for you when you jump in a Twitch chat. Like if you jump in a new stream, like what makes you stick around? Like often if I go on someone's chat and I get donor walled, I move on to the next channel, mate. Because like I want to like personally for me, I just think what works for you. Like what do you enjoy? Like if you go into a Twitch chat, it's the same with YouTube, right? If you want to make YouTube videos, what YouTube videos do you click on? You make your content directed to that. So
yeah, and I think you want a community that you like, that you wake up every day and you say, I'm gonna interact with these people. You're gonna have to interact with them, and you want to interact with them. You want to be excited about the names you're gonna see in your chat and what they're gonna say. If you're waking up and saying, gosh, I hate everyone I'm about to show up to, that sucks, and you will get burnt out eventually, and you'll look back and be like, wow, that really wasn't worth it. Especially if you're a small streamer not making much money. Like if I was having 30,000-40,000 people giving me money and I hated all of them, but they gave me $1 million a year, I'd suck it up for a year. But since it's not the case for Gwent, make sure you build a community you like. I think you can be nice and stand out though, Bushy. I would say that. I think you be trolling and stand out. I think you build nice and stand out, because I gotta look at you for your community, for example. I don't think trolley community. I think Monkey, right? That is very different. Out of all the Twitch streamers I'm aware of, Monkey is just Bushy. If I see that emote on any stream, it'll be Bushy. It's not going to be like there's trolley chats. XQC has a bit of trolls in his chat. But when I think Monkey, or see Monkey, I think Bushy. That is
right.
the community jump.
My point more so was that like the just be kind and just have a wholesome atmosphere. It's the easiest, most simplest first answer that anybody comes to. Everybody thinks that's what they want their stream to be like, but realistically, most people shouldn't have their stream be like that.
You should be thinking about what sets you apart. I agree with that. Yeah, like even my stream for a long time, I did all kinds of non-Gwent content things to stand out, because I think I'm known as a pretty wholesome streamer in the Gwent community. I can be with the other wholesome streamers, and there's a bunch of them for the record. So like Bushy, I think one thing to your point, I think you have less competition of a more trolly chat than a wholesome streamer, right? There's like myself, then I got Tia, aka Dia Beastie. You have Lionheart, you have Watchflake, you have etc. etc. It's just a list of wholesome people, and it's a lot longer. But you gotta find, if you're gonna do wholesome, you really do have to carve out a niche, saying, this is what I'm always gonna provide. Come. But again, those are a lot of wholesome streamers to your. Cool.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Although I probably have to get going now.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you all for coming, guys.
Ooh, what a party pooper.
No, it's all good. He literally has food off to the right. Don't kill him.
Bessie, that's toxic.
Toxic.
Absolute
Talking
toxic
about
behavior.
something. Anyways, thank you guys for hopping in here. I hope you all in chat had a good time. And if you like what you see, let us know. Maybe we'll do it again. All right.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Take
All
care,
right.
everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks for having us, John.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
No,
thanks.
thanks for coming by. Thanks for that. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Ahmed Ali and McRandar for all their generous support on Patreon.